Chapter 24 of The Ghosts of Tupelo Landing. It's called Murdered Sure as Sin. That afternoon, Dale and I headed for the neat cottage Mayor Little shares with his mother, Mert. Queen Elizabeth pranced at our side. A chilly wind whipped along the street. I buttoned my sweater and put my hands in my pockets. I wrote to Nellie Blake requesting a full moon interview, but I don't know how to mail it, I told Dale. He took a hank of yellow yarn from his pocket and tied Liz to the fence post. "Maybe you could leave it on the piano," he said. He nibbled his lower lip. "But a full moon interview?" he said, his voice doubtful. "I don't know." "Don't worry, I got a plan." "Am I in it?" "Of course you're in it." "Then I'm worried," he said as Thess wandered up. "Thanks for coming," Thess said, handing me a wad of crumpled dollar bills. "We might as well get this over with." We trailed him up the walk. The door opened as he raised his fist to knock. "Good afternoon, Thess and desperados," Mayor Little said, smoothing his tie. "Welcome. Mother will receive you in the drawing room." "Thanks," I said, unbuttoning my sweater. I smiled. "We're hoping you'll sit in the interview since we assume she likes you." "Well, for a few minutes," he said, ushering us into a hot, crowded room that smelled faintly of mothballs and cat. "Mother, your guests have arrived." She looked up from her rocking chair. As a member of Tupelo Landing's first family, Mrs. Little naturally dresses good. Shiny dress with a ruffle at the collar, neat stockings, polished shoes, but above the collar floated a lemony face and yellow-gray hair pulled into a bitter bun. We perched on her flowery sofa, me in the middle. "Good afternoon," I said. She stared at me with hooded eyes. "I think you know us, but in case old age has ironed the wrinkles out of your brain, allow me. I'm Mo Lobo of Desperado Detective Agency. To my left, you got my partner, Dale, and to my right, Thess. You know us from church." I looked at Thess. Silence. "On behalf of Thess, I'd like to say you look lovely," I added. She rapped on her chair arm. "Get on with it." The mayor chuckled. "I'm sure Mother meant to offer you refreshments. Let me see what I can rummage up," he said, scurrying away. "Mother's been looking forward to this for days." Thess smiled. "Thank you for talking to me today," he said, sounding like a robot. He placed a recorder on the coffee table. "It's for history." Silence. His smile slid off his face. I got a few questions. First, how old are you? Extra credits at stake." "None of your business." "Okay, thanks for that," he said, marking an X on his paper. "What's your first memory of Tupelo Landing?" "Pigs. We fenced in the town to keep them out." Thess looked at his paper. "What's the most important thing you've learned in life?" "Drink water." Mayor Little tipped in with a tray of soft drinks. We settled into a silence prickly as the cactus on the windowsill. The glasses sweated. So did Thess. "That's all the questions I got," he told me, looking worried. I opened my camera. Mrs. Little stared at Thess like a vulture eyeing carrion. Click. "I got something," I said. I reached into my pocket and pulled out the old photo from the library. "Do you recognize these kids?" Her face came to life. "Heavens, yes," she said, her gnarled hand going to her throat. "That's Goody Two-Shoes Lacey Thornton grinning into the camera like a little gargoyle. I'm the pretty one standing next to her. The blurry boy's Red Baker, and the skirt tail and shoe at the edge of the photo, why, that's Nellie Blake." I sloshed my Coke into my pants. "Nellie Blake? Are you sure?" "Of course I'm sure. See how that skirt's torn? Looks like a kite tail flapping behind her. Nellie had the prettiest clothes in town. Never did take care of 'em. She probably tore that climbing a tree or chasing her dog. Besides, where Lacey went, Nellie followed. They were practically joined at the hip." "Really?" Grandmother Miss Lacey had made it sound like she hardly knew Nellie. "Nellie's folks owned the inn," she continued. "Nouveau riche." That means that they got their money, got rich later in life. Not old money like Lacey Thornton's family, but nice enough. Nouveau riche, Tess repeated. New money, flashy money. Nellie was smart as a whip, but troublesome. Quick-tempered. A pain in the sit bone. She jabbed a crooked finger at me. Reminds me of you. I counted to 10. Thank you, I said. Was she a good reader? I mean, could she read invitations left on a piano, for instance? Of course she was a good reader, she said. We all were. She laughed, sudden as a swift flying up a chimney. Nellie made Lacey drink that spring water like it was going out of style. Lacey's strung tighter than a warped fiddle, you know. Spring water calmed her down, I always thought. She looked at Mayor Little. Where's that musty old paper I found the other day? Mayor Little jumped up and rushed to the desk. Here we go, he said, handing a time-yellow pamphlet to me. An old ad for the inn. I gave it a quick scan. Tupelo Springs cure your ills. Spring number 1 cools fevers. Spring number 2 cures depression and illusions. Spring number 3 quickens faint hearts. Spring number 4 eases breathing. Spring number 5 invigorates the liver. Spring number 6 calms indigestion. Spring number 7 steadies the nerves. A footnote, Dale said. He smiled at her. Thank you. She leaned forward. Nellie was murdered, you know. Murdered? Is that why Nellie's still here? To solve her own murder? Mother! How unpleasant, Mayor Little cried, jumping to his feet. Well, this has been nice, he told us, but I'm sure you need to run. No, Dale said, we're good. She ignored them. Most people called it an automobile accident. Not me. I say someone sabotaged her car. Nellie was murdered, sure as sin. I gulped. Why would somebody murder Nellie Blake? She looked at me, her eyes sharp. Maybe they didn't want to. Maybe Nellie died in someone else's place. Maybe there's a Judas in our town, she said, and my heart pumped ice. Ask Red Baker. He was the first one there. She looked at her son. I'm tired, she said. Show these children to the door.